We are live. This is the market update. I am your host, Bill Noble. It seems like we are ready to climb the wall of worry. I went to look at trending topics today on YouTube for crypto, and everything is still crash explained. What really happened? What really happened? All right, well, we'll discuss that again, but I don't think that's the right discussion, like at all. Now, of course, I will tell you what is the right discussion. Perhaps we can look at what coins you should be looking at. It's not exactly a shocking list, but we can talk about it because the curiosity, the thing that somebody should be looking at is, should I be looking at Chainlink or Arbitrum or PENDLE or ICP? Or should I be focused on what just happened in the past? What's next? Fear or FOMO? Or both? Both. Because at the current state of affairs, that's what you have. You have fear that is unending. Now, I love this person, and I think it's a great story. So I put out a piece, and the person chats in and goes, hey, what's the timing on this? Should we do it now or should we do it later? I was like, well, start with the big coin in the list. This is like for the platinum member area. Now, of course, it's a good question because people want to know about timing. Specifically, when do I get into this market and not have to deal with the fear of this crash happening again? Now, I have a particular word for this. I don't want to use it on the air, but, don't catch the falling. And then the fear of it happening again is called the experience, right? Everyone's afraid that the sharp thing is going to fall again. And when you get in that space mentally as a market, there's nowhere to go but up. Now, I know that sounds crazy. That sounds like your standard crypto, bullish hootenanny. But you know what? There seems to be a huge absence of crypto bullish hootenanny. So allow me to step in. Really, allow me to step in and explain what just happened without, goring you with details, because I think that is a large part of what's happening out there. People are diving so deep into the minutia of what happened. So many exchanges are going, oh, we're really sorry, and oh, this is terrible. People, this happens in free markets. 1. 2, the market has continued to function. The market has actually bounced and is stable. A lot of times when you get a move like this, you get wild volatility. You have 5 and 10% swings. You don't have any liquidity. You don't have any participation. It's insane. 2008 was like that, right? I mean, you would have outrageous intraday volatility. So far, yeah, okay, we've had a little volatility. It kind of goes up, dips, rips. People have to sell. Margin calls have to be met. The banking system will be open tomorrow. There's gymnastics. Okay, the market's rallied to resistance. Okay. But, we have like people apologizing on the tape, an obsession with what happens. No. The obsession should be that you collect yourself and realized the people who got liquidated were the people who believed and needed crypto to go up. Now, some people did get wiped out. Supposedly, somebody is offering Kentucky Fried Chicken gift certificates to people who lost everything. And that's what the news is reporting. The news is reporting the people that regrettably lost everything. And of course, our hearts go out to them. Everyone lost money. You're probably wondering why the market update is at 11 p.m. Eastern. It's because I needed to go out and touch grass, and I didn't get wrecked. Analytically, stuff went down, but stuff came back. I'm okay. And I still needed to go touch grass. I did. Like, really, I did. So, of course, I understand what this does to people. However, you can absolutely not let the obsession over the minutia of what happened distract you from a very simple fact. Everyone is afraid to be long. No one is long. No one. Like every levered speculator, right? Or actually, we got to stop using the word levered, because that like turns off people's brains. Every speculator, trader, swing trader, and trend trader is out of the market. And you can tell that they're not back into the market because when the market goes up, some of these altcoins are moving in 5 to 10% increments. Now, of course, again, there's corrective volatility, right? We appreciate the super chat out there, Simon. Thank you. We definitely appreciate that. Helicopter sugar is coming. Will Jerome Powell give us sugar tomorrow for the FOMC? The labor market has to be acknowledged. So let me attach the Jerome Powell to the crypto point. No one is long crypto. Like spot holders are long, but the trading, investing, fast money community is not long crypto. They can't be. They can't be because of the extent of the price action, right? Like the fact that the price action was so graphic means that you had this massive systemic purge. And the purge was so serious that everyone is afraid to be long. So you have two kinds of people who are not long, people who are long and afraid to buy more. And then there's people who are just afraid. So who's a seller? I didn't think there was a seller in crypto before this happened. Apparently, I wasn't aware of the amount of leverage. And it is amusing in a way that these institutions, these crypto exchanges, they're on the side of the people. Yeah, okay, whatever. They offered leverage in excess because there was nothing else going on in crypto, right? No memes, nothing going on. So let's all trade perps on a levered basis. But what they've inadvertently done is cleaned out the entire system. The whole system is cleaned out. So if you can create, you don't have to create it. If you can remember the case for crypto, for example, Powell has rates too high. The economy is going to do well because of the AI data center build out, and the labor market, no matter what they're telling you, is a mess. There is no growth in the labor market. Is it shrinking? I don't know. Is it growing? No. Is it ever going to grow? Not with all this tariff talk. Every time we do the tariff talk, corporate CEOs go, "Oh my God, we can't plan anything. We can't hire anybody. We can't do anything outside the AI data center build out." Right? Which, by the way, is not a bubble. My usual speech applies. A couple thought leaders are writing this. It's only a bubble if people think it's a new paradigm. If people think it's a bubble and they're talking about it as a bubble, it's not a bubble. It's a build out. Is it the smartest build out in the world? Who knows? They're building it out. Valuations across AI are elevated. AI is a disruptor. So is crypto. And if you thought crypto was undervalued relative to the legacy AI trade before this debacle, which I did, what is it now? See, you have a crypto system that is completely cleaned out. It's like a car coming out of a car wash. There's just like not a speck of dirt on it. You could drive it 1,000 miles. No dirt. It's all ready to go. It's coming out of the shop. Completely clean. The AI data center build out probably may actually hurt the labor market long term. So Powell's going to have to acknowledge it. He can acknowledge it today. He can acknowledge it tomorrow. He's going to have to acknowledge it. He doesn't have to cut rates, although that's what the market wants. Well, it's not even the market. That's what Twitter wants. Twitter's like, oh my God, cut rates. We need to cut rates. It isn't about whether he cut rates. It's about the language and about how much liquidity he pushes into the market. Now, of course, the algorithms, as if they haven't had enough fun, will trade the event. Let the algos trade the event, just like let the algos trade the liquidation, let the algos trade, whatever margin is situations with the Fed being closed, let them trade it. And then what will be left? What will be left is the bullish case for crypto. Just like when gold sat still and did nothing, there was nothing but the bullish case for gold because fiat was kaput. And then gold went up only. Gold goes up every day. Silver goes up every day to the point where guys like Peter Schiff are taking a victory lap on guys like Michael Saylor. And we will discuss this because I think that is an important sentiment inflection point. Along with, I do a TikTok video, Crash Explained, 8,000 viewers, generational low in crypto. None. 10% of those views, if any. Okay. Simon, while everything was frozen, there were still people buying. The rich were buying while the average person was frozen. It's like, it's obvious. It's obvious. Fear sells. Fear sells. Fear sells, and teasing people is engagement farming. For example, I think both the American and Chinese leaders are engagement farming. Whatever it is they're going to do, the Chinese cannot afford to have their economy fall apart, and we cannot have the Chinese economy falling apart because it's all one system, particularly since their next door neighbor, Japan, has got major, major, major problems. So again, the case for crypto is perhaps way more epic than you would think. Back to sentiment. Here's Peter Schiff to Michael Saylor. So why didn't you buy any Bitcoin when the price crashed to 104? Your average purchase price on the week is nearly 8% above the current market. Also, your average price on your entire position is 74K. That's only a 55% gain. MicroStrategy would have been better off if you had bought gold instead. Now, that, ladies and gentlemen, is a victory lap. And when you see victory laps, you see a trend shift. Now, I don't know. Can gold correct? Sure. Right? Anything parabolic can correct, assuming you have a functional market and, the metal that everybody says that they have, they can actually get their hands on. Could be something wrong with that market as a whole. That said, it's a signal. The demand for that metal is a signal, and everything in crypto should follow the same signal. So in crypto, you have a double shot of fun. You have AI valuations in legacy off the charts. You have a Fed that absolutely has to cut rates or at least talk dovish. Okay. And you have a crypto market that is completely cleaned out. Completely cleaned out. So let's just think about some coins. Seriously. Let's talk about some coins. You stick around, we'll talk about coins. What is Solana used for? Solana is used for DePin and stablecoins, and for a revolution that we published in the Patreon Platinum area, and we discussed on the YouTube member podcast. I can't even believe we're talking about it. She talked about it. I wrote the report. She wrote the report. Solana is also used for that. Solana, stablecoins. Chainlink connecting the whole world. Avalanche security tokens. Okay. SUI layer 1 with speed. Everybody took those 4 coins the last 3 days and they actually just threw them out the window. It's like a bowling ball going out of a 5th floor window. And everyone has forgotten about what they do. It's beyond gold and silver. I mean, silver has an industrial use. Everyone has forgotten the use case for crypto. Everybody. Like, what about decentralized data management? What about Tau? I saw an Instagram video that Toby sent me about a guy who was saying that Tau, by wanting to offer decentralized AI, they're doing something as revolutionary as Bitcoin was back in the day for money. Who's talking about that? Matter of fact, ladies and gentlemen, this is exactly when you should be talking about that. My old boss had a great saying. He borrowed from Warren Buffett, shocked the world, went on CNBC and said it, that he was a value investor in crypto. A value investor. And guess what? What should we be talking about in crypto right now? Should we be engagement farming on disaster P about what happened, who sold, who made money? Or should we be talking about the fact that, you know, ONDO could get treasury bills online? PYTH is a decentralized data network, which we've talked about was a huge GAN model coin. We're talking about things like the graph, right? If you had a wake up in, say, either DeFi or anything speculative in crypto on the finance side, these things would become like radically necessary. Even things like AERO, right? Celestia, Hyperliquid, still functioned. Why is there no talk about these coins and what they do? And the fact that they're at radically discounted prices, or in some cases, they're right back where they were before this started. That's like maybe Bitcoin and ETH. But some of this stuff is back to where it was in June, which is the same price as where it was in March, which was like close to the takeoff point from a year ago. Like, really, if you look at, say, like November or October of last year, a lot of these coins are trading right where they were at that point. Now, back then, what did you have? What did you have? Well, you know, you had Made in America crypto. You had the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve, right? Instead, you got Bitcoin treasury companies instead. You had all this unbelievable sovereigns embrace crypto. This is the crypto administration. Okay. So in reality, this is what happened. So they got rid of the regulators. They got rid of the tax stuff. They got rid of all the ugly stuff. That frees up crypto, and it also freed them up to push the market around if they wanted to. Like commodities back in the 80s. Like, we're going to push this market around. We're going to say things. We're going to drop it. Our friends are going to buy. Welcome to the 80s. Seriously. So you thought you were getting, we're getting a free market. We're getting made in America. Yeah, bro, you're definitely getting made in America. You're getting made in the 1980s. Wild, wild west. Big hair and big hedge funds and big washouts. But you have gold up only. You have multiple nations acting as if they were ungovernable. You can't post anything on Facebook. Zcash and the privacy narrative exploded, which you did not have a year ago, which opens up Zcash, Bitcoin with a privacy toggle switch. Is it perfect? No. Is it underpriced? Oh, yeah. Monero, the Roger Ver meme coin, Bitcoin Cash, transactional Bitcoin. All this stuff is wildly undervalued, aka value investing. You have value investing opportunities right in front of your face, and the only videos on YouTube are about what just happened. I mean, again, if you go to a spa, right, and you get an herbal and you get cleaned out, it's like you're supposed to go to the spa and get cleaned out and do your juice cleanse and then go out in the world and do great things. Go have a better, healthier life, right? Imagine going to the spa, and when someone asks you about the spa, I don't know, all you talk about was your herbal. And imagine talking about your herbal 5 days after you left the spa. That's what the market is doing. Like, oh yeah, we got an herbal, and let's make a video about it every day. And let's have every thumbnail be like some sort of like B-rated 70s horror movie with like, red stuff dripping all over, and everyone's talking about Kentucky Fried Chicken. Kentucky Fried Chicken, I'm talking about giving up Starbucks or hamburgers or whatever so you can get involved in this market to do what it is you need to do to value invest. Does anybody ever wonder how Warren Buffett made all of his money? Warren Buffett makes all of his money by stepping in when you have these 60% down moves and just takes everything, right? He loaned, he gave Goldman Sachs money at a 9% interest rate and collected on that, right? He helped save Goldman Sachs, back in 2009. Goldman didn't actually need saving, but, the capital from Warren Buffett helped. And basically Warren Buffett looked at everybody and said, this investment is a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer because everyone's bearish. Everything's down. Everybody's view about value has changed, but his didn't. His view on it didn't change at all. He's like, oh yeah, this is great. It's a discount. Everyone's upset. Everyone's worried. Everybody's obsessed with what's happened. I did it. I was obsessed. Oh my God. Every time the market went down, I was like, oh my God, here we go again. Here we go again. It's going to happen again. Never happened again. It went straight down like it was going to happen again. But then when it stopped, you got the title of the live stream, FOMO. The biggest risk in crypto right now is not a repeat of the debacle. Debacles can always happen in crypto. They could go down. They could retest the lows. Sure, there are arguments for all these things. However, the biggest risk in crypto is that if this thing goes down and there are buyers on dips, that is a signal that all these people that got washed out are looking to enter. And, if the dips are limited and this thing fully retraces, you could have a lot of people feeling left behind. Again, more FOMO. So you have kind of a dual FOMO risk, right? It goes down. Everyone thinks it's going to crash and it comes back. That's one level of FOMO where everyone's like, oh, I missed the dip, or, oh, gee, it didn't crash. Then if it fully retraces, you can have even more FOMO after that. Guys who have seen multiple cycles have talked about this is how you get alt season. You don't get alt season when everyone gets long, everyone genuflex, the crypto pope anoints everybody, and the entire market just magically levitates. The market levitates because you have buyers and, most importantly, forced buyers. Hedge funds chasing performance, equities people allocating from tech stocks into crypto ETFs, and, of course, people who are levered who need to get re-levered, right? They need to get their positions back on again. They were levered for a reason. They were levered because they believed in it, or because they needed the money, or whatever, or they're greedy AF. What difference does it make? If you have forced buying, the greed impulse, right? This fear, right? Right now we have we have fear of another crash because we're still obsessed with the old one. We're obsessed with the enema. We're not obsessed with the herbal. We're supposed to be obsessed with what can happen next. No one is talking about, hey, these are the altcoin picks for the post-crash world. Why are we not talking about this? I'm talking about it. Okay. Simon is like, tech stocks, quantum stocks, and shiny rock stocks are smoking crypto right now. True. Like, not only does crypto have to live with the indignity of this crash, but crypto was underperforming everything prior to this. Somebody said winter is coming. Bro, winter has been here for 10 months. Like, if you were long certain cryptos, you got zero gratification on the upside. Like, what's gone up? Bitcoin did okay. ETH repriced itself after it went down half the year. What has actually happened? Zcash woke up. Dash woke up. Bitcoin Cash had like a minor rally. You know, some altcoins have done better, but generally speaking, it's been very winter-ish. You know, as Toby told you in the YouTube member area. Toby told you in the YouTube member area, which the links are down below, right? Or you can hit the join button, I think, on multiple places here, that you were going to have rallies in sectors. You were going to have to play the sector game in crypto. People should be talking about playing the sector game because, as Simon notes, tech stocks, quantum stocks, gold stocks are smoking. Okay, what's next? What's next? It has to be crypto because the value proposition for crypto is incredible, right? The valuation of crypto is incredible, incredibly low. And, you know, sovereigns are behaving badly. Like Simon says, the day after the biggest crash in history, you know, Orange Man comes out and, you know, talks about watches or, you know, says, I'm just kidding. Talking about, hey, I got watches for sale. Melania is doing a Christmas ornament. You wanted a free market. You wanted to go back to the 80s. We're definitely back in the 80s. It's like, hey, I crashed the market and I have a watch for you to buy. Or, hey, I can move the market around if I want to. Fed chairmen have done this. Treasury secretaries, I mean, they move it around for different reasons. Guys come on the market. I mean, Paul Volcker, back in the day in the inflation period, comes out on the tape and says, quote, money supply is out of control. How do you think the bond market reacted to some super hawkish guy who's already raising rates, who comes out and says, money supply is out of control? What do you think happened to the bond market? It's like, oh my God, look out below. Is that the bond market? Oh my God. It melted through the floor. So again, these things where big guys move the tape around and then try to sell you a Christmas ornament. Okay. Yeah, it's a little much, but we've seen this before. We have. You haven't. I have. Now, that's not knocking anybody, but what I'm trying to get people to see is that they're trying to wrap some story about there's something wrong with crypto just because the market got suddenly and brutally cleaned out at a very inconvenient moment where people were looking for October. But again, don't you see? If everybody was long and then everybody was out, all those bullish people have nowhere to go but pile back in. Now, naturally, you'll see dips and be afraid, but I think if dips hold, FOMO is a bigger risk than another crypto decline. I mean, if crypto goes down again, okay, spot holders will get hurt. Leverage traders might try again, but they'll have stops in this time. Who gets hurt if the market goes down again? Michael Saylor? Who? If no one is long, who's going to get hurt? Nobody. I mean, sure, they could take it down again on lack of buyers or, you know, maybe a hedge fund blew up. But again, notice what people are talking about. The talk should be about, I mean, of course, people are interested in what happened. So I understand from an engagement point of view, talking about what happened is more interesting than talking about value investing. But when everybody was talking about how terrible 2008 was, there were people who had their nose and into an economics book figuring out what quantitative easing was. And then people figured out the Magnificent Seven while everybody was talking about, oh my God, you know, commercial real estate is the next shoe to drop. So first we had residential real estate, commercial real estate is next. What a joke. What a joke years and years later that people were like this focused on, oh God, I remember my old boss who was bullish. said that, yeah, commercial real estate is like the albatross flying across the market. Okay. Simon, a big super chatter for tonight, which we appreciate. He said, Pudgy Penguins, zoom out, huge cup and handle. Do you think those talked up to the Eagle King too? Okay, I didn't follow all of that. Value investing. Like, you know, I know antivirus is going to have some tokenomics changes coming up. They're going to airdrop this huge matrix. It's called the Matrix DeFi protocol, launched the chain in December. Stuff is cheap. Like, what's the next Zcash? Has anyone thought about what the next Zcash is? I don't think so. I hear zero talk about it, but I do hear Citibank launching a $1 trillion custody fund. $1 trillion. Why is XRP at 255? Does anyone have an answer to that question? I don't think so. I don't think so. Now, they bought the dip in ETH this morning. Will they buy the dip again? How many times, like, okay, let's just do a theoretical. Like, if they buy the dip in ETH 2 or 3 times, or if the market really lurches lower, and I know you're going to think I'm crazy for what I'm about to say, if the market really lurches down and looks terrible, right? And this perception that the charts are all broken continues. Like, this is what I'm looking at in ETH. Like, sometimes you kind of have to simplify. Like, in ETH, if you can see this, I'm not sure the TikTok view allows this to be seen. Try to get it in the center. So this was the takeoff point at the beginning of October for ETH around 4,100. Naturally, they run the stops, and now we're back sitting right on 4,150. And if that holds, then I have some hope that, you know, ETH can turn around and lead the entire market higher. Okay, Solana. Again, let's just keep it simple, right? A, B, C. That's it. Now, I know in your mind, it's like, oh my God, it's a giant crash. Oh my God, it's the end of the world. You had a 38% retracement in Bitcoin and Ethereum. You had an ABC correction in Solana. What's the problem? Like, if you didn't know about this, if you were on an island and you got off the plane and I said, hey, Bitcoin and Ethereum did a 38% retracement of their recent up move, and I've got an ABC correction in Solana, what do you want to do? And you'd be like, well, you just want to grab more. If you didn't know that it was some like mind-boggling calamity where, you know, your P&L flash crashed, or you had to just scramble to do whatever. If I just told you that, what would you do? You'd be like, oh, well, do you have a list of 10 altcoins for me? Yes, conveniently in Patreon and on YouTube VIP, you know, we have discussed in detail the altcoins, and we will continue to do this. We will continue to approach this from a value investing point of view. I'm sitting here. I got the list for each tier of like 3 to 7 coins. Where is top altcoins for the fourth quarter? The fact that no one is talking about that is effectively all you need to know. Speaking of let's go back to the Fed. So, you know, Powell's going to be there until May, and they're already talking about the list of all the guys that are going to replace him. Okay, mistakes have been made at the Fed. And whether they admit it or not, the market is going to trade those mistakes. Now, some people think it's stocks going lower. Okay. Some people think AI is a bubble. If there are problems in the world, the best way to vent those problems is not the way you vented them in the 2000s, the 90s, or the 80s. Like, this is where it's not the 80s. You have this idea that crypto can be the steam valve. Like, gold and silver have the spotlight, but the general public or corporate treasuries. Like corporate treasuries can invest in gold, but can corporate treasuries use that gold for anything other than a store of value? Corporations, banks, treasury companies can use, say, ETH in DeFi. So crypto can be viewed as gold and silver with advanced use cases. So how is crypto as an investing class not going to benefit? Particularly if you get dips that scare people. In other words, transitioning to what is the most bullish thing that can actually happen in this market right now is that you can get more tariff saber rallying, more fear about the Fed not doing whatever crypto Twitter wants it to do, right? In other words, more fear. The more fear there is, the better, because it makes more people hesitate, which creates a bigger list of people who can pile in later. And I know you're telling me it's crazy. I know if the market goes down, that's why I have the title I have. The title, when the market goes down, is FOMO, because nobody is thinking about what happens if FOMO returns. Everyone is thinking about what happens when the crash returns. Simon, we definitely appreciate the super chats. In your opinion, how many billions do you think they're going to drop in one day on day one of XRP ETF? Okay. So let's talk about altcoin ETFs, because I did bring this up in a short video and I have brought it up before. If you're going to have an ETF, you're going to need inventory. Like BlackRock started buying Bitcoin way before the Bitcoin ETF was ever approved by Gensler, by the way. Bitcoin ETF buying started at like 16 to 20K. They bought it all the way up to 30, right? Before people like started taking this ETF thing seriously. And even when the Bitcoin ETF got to 48K, everybody thought it was sell the fact, and it went to 60. Because, you know, people wanted Bitcoin that badly. Now, will people want the Hedera ETF the way they wanted the Bitcoin ETF after the fact? Probably not. But my guess is the way to get an altcoin into an ETF is to make the altcoin go up a lot. In other words, two things. One, if you were going to accumulate inventory for an ETF, you would do it after a crash. You're like, well, we're going to need this crypto anyway. There's going to be an ETF. We're going to launch an ETF. So let's just start buying it now. In other words, if the market goes down and it stops, the altcoin ETF buyers could be the first major bid. They don't want to chase the market. They want you to puke out all their crypto so they can start accumulating inventory. Because imagine all the guys that have to sell to Michael Saylor. Like, they're having enough trouble as it is. Can you imagine when they have all these big broker dealers and crypto entities coming in and go, yeah, I need a whole bunch of Hedera for an ETF. Okay, well, where are we going to get that from? Well, we're going to get it post-crash. So the question is, what happens to XRP when the ETF comes out? My question is, at what price does the ETF come out? Now, the Gann model said $7. They're not going to do the ETF when XRP is at $250. They're going to do the ETF when XRP is a blue chip and XRP is at $7. Because in stocks, remember, right? It's like the only thing that they love more than a cheap stock is an expensive stock. The expensive get more expensive. So they don't want it at $250, but at $7, it's a must add for your portfolio, like gold, right? Gold was like, yeah, gold is at $2,000, you know, whatever. Nobody in equities is currently allocated to gold as it is. The gold ETF is done. I mean, it's following gold, but the dollar value invested in the gold ETF is flat. No one's investing in gold. But, you know, at 10,000, it'll be a must add. Seriously. So how much are they going to buy of the XRP ETF? I don't know, dude. I think the thing with altcoins you have to ask yourself is, how much are they going to buy before all these ETFs come out? And, you know, there isn't going to be a strategic altcoin reserve like we all thought back in January when we were on those vapors. But if they open the floodgates and there's an ETF for everything, plus you have announcements where, you know, the on-chain world actually starts developing. You get real world assets. I know a real world asset project. Privacy just took off. So, you know, I'm not making it up. I mean, you know, Zcash saved altcoins. I'm telling you right now, Zcash saved altcoins. Zcash saved the cycle, I think, because now people have to take undervalued cryptos seriously. And they have to take cryptos with a use case seriously. Whereas before, it was just like me and Toby talking about, well, we're for, you know, Toby's like, hi, I'm from 2050. We're building the platform for the future. You know, we would get things like PYTH, and we got PEAQ. You know, we got all this stuff, right? But it didn't grab the headlines the way Zcash did. So what makes XRP? Zcash, right? Like fast Bitcoin, private Bitcoin. You know, how long before that narrative like spreads out? Or as Toby would say, what goes in your Zcash bucket other than Monero? How many coins? And if there's another coin that takes off, like let's say it's Tau, like what happens if Tau becomes this like the NVIDIA of the crypto AI ecosystem? Like what happens if everybody decides, okay, we're going to trade AI and this is the primary mechanism for doing that? How many coins can Tau take with it? What happens if, say, some dark horse layer one like Near takes off? Or what happens if layer ones, because of this stablecoin trade, take off? Like, has anyone looked at the chart of things like Avalanche? Right? I mean, like if you zoom out on Avalanche, I mean, this thing made a new low for the move. You have a 9 bottom. Hopefully that comes in the center for the vertical guys. Now, you don't want to see a failed rally, so you don't want anything horrendous. You just, you know, that would not be good. Just going to be honest. You do not want a horrendous failed rally, but anything short, if you get stability, volatility, if it's not horrendous, in my mind, it's bullish. Because like I said, you literally took out everybody who's bought Avalanche in the last year. You just put a whole bunch of heat on them. You just scared them all to death. And then there's a 13 bottom on the weekly chart. I'm sorry. It doesn't get any better than that. It doesn't. Like I said, if you didn't witness or you weren't traumatized by what happened, if you just pulled out this chart and you said, you know, hey, let's look at this chart in another market. Like, let's pretend Avalanche was soybeans. And you're like, wow, look, everyone just gave up on this thing. And there's every bottoming signal you can think of. What happens if you have layer ones as a group take off? And how can you not have layer ones as a group take off? Because everyone's going to have a stable coin. Now, of course, our guys at Antivirus, right? They're going to create this radical new privacy stable coin. They're announcing, you know, antivirus staking coming out soon. Now, we don't know what the anti token is going to do after the airdrop, just being fully transparent. But the snapshot for that airdrop is November. And antivirus is the only privacy coin that has not mooned or not even gone up. Thankfully, it held during this whole mess. But what else is going to go with Zcash? Like, okay, I have my little coin and I have my little real world asset project that I'm helping somebody with. What's your project? Toby, this is when you pull out your Toby fortune cookies. Toby would say, buy what you love. Buy what you love, right? I mean, if you can't buy what you love, right, after a crash like this, when nobody wants to talk about the market going up, right now they're talking about it all happening again because of the tariff deadline and Powell. 6 months from now, because we were having a generational fourth quarter banana zone 2017 repeat 5 days ago or 10 days ago, and now we're not having it? No. Now we have the actual setup to do it. Because the best time to do these streams, I mean, it's fun to do it when it's up, but it's better to do it when it's down. Because if you watch it go down and it doesn't stay down, or it goes down, it scares everybody to death, but doesn't fall apart. These are meaningful technical analysis signals. In other words, everybody is always trying to sell you like, here's a signal, and here's a software, and here's Lux Algo, and here's DeMark. Here's your technical analysis signal. Do buyers show up on dips? Because it's not a bull market unless you can buy a dip and make money. Do buyers show up on dips? Does Michael Saylor show up on dip? Does Metaplanet show up on a dip? Notice how you haven't heard one word from characters like Galaxy Digital. CZ is not on the tape. The Binance president is on the tape. Why are they off the tape? Because they're taking everything. They're just buying it all. Because remember something about crypto. The worst crypto crash that I was ever in was the thing that ended the 2018 bear market. So I'm working for Charlie Shrem at the time, Charlie Shrem, who was a famous Bitcoin guy that, you know, he was a part of, you know, kind of the trouble that Ross got in, you know, and, you know, he went to jail, and I don't think that what he did was anywhere as near as serious as what Ross did. It was basically a know your customer problem, a KYC issue. But he, at the time, was trying to do something radical, was by developing crypto research that wasn't bunk. It wasn't bunk. It was real research. And the team that he had, oh my God, only to be rivaled with the team that I was on at Token Metrics. I mean, but in its day, it was revolutionary what he had going on. And I remember this was the first time that I got to talk about crypto live. Like, I had come out of Legacy like 8 months ago, and I was talking at a crypto conference, which at the time in Vegas was like 30 retired people in a hall. And I'm talking about why crypto was a miraculous investment relative to QQQ. In other words, you can buy QQQ and make money, or you can do crypto and have, like, you know, all the things that I always talk about crypto. Now, of course, if you had bought NVIDIA, you would have done quite well. But if you had also bought Bitcoin, you would have done equally as well. Now, perhaps not measured against NVIDIA. I don't want to say the wrong thing, but let me get back to my story. I got off track. So I give my talk. Bitcoin's at 6K. I go back to my hotel room. Bitcoin was down 25%. Just got done. I mean, everybody heard the speech, loved it. Everyone sprinted out of the room to go sign up for Crypto IQ. And Bitcoin was down 25% that night, only to see Bitcoin go from 6K to 3K in like the next 2.5 weeks, and have Crypto IQ close because people were so wrecked, they didn't have any money left. Like nothing, zero. Everything they had, they lost. Bitcoin went to 3K. I wrote a piece that said Bitcoin might go to 1.5K. Realized that I just bought into bearish hootenanny and flipped it around and went giga bullish. But Bitcoin was at 3K for months. You just had to sit there and look at it. How long are we looking at the aftermath of this? 3 days? Now, back then, everyone was out. Everyone was out. Everyone was out, and they didn't think they were ever coming back again. I mean, that was a multi-year winter. That's because the case for crypto wasn't there. It was just a speculative engine. Now, crypto is still a speculative engine, but the speculation has all been wiped out. And I did not allow the trauma of talking on stage and have crypto go down 25% in my face deter me from switching to bullish a couple of months later. Because I could have stayed negative. I could have been like, don't touch this thing. Bitcoin turned around and went from 3,000 to 13,000 on a rope. Now, there were further consolidations thereafter, but everyone wants to go back to the old days in Bitcoin. I don't know what's being said elsewhere, but congratulations, everybody. You just went back to the old days in Bitcoin. People act like buying Bitcoin and hodling it for all these years was somehow easy. It's not. Somebody I respect was talking in a chat room the other night. It's like, yeah, most people, they bought Bitcoin, and as soon as they had enough money to go out and buy hamburgers or a steak, they sold it and they went out, or they panic sold it into a down trade. So few people had, and this is the key word, so few people had the conviction to stay with it. The conviction. This is a question. Where is your conviction in this market? So we have Powell. You know, we have levered washouts and margin calls and possible hedge fund blow-ups that we have yet to hear about. Okay. Geopolitical conflict is still in the news. Most of it about Eastern Europe. Try to want to stay away from that as much as I can. There's problems in Japan. Everyone has forgotten about. Everyone has forgotten about. When you wash people out the way people have gotten washed out, okay, here's a good thing to read. What happened on Friday might have uncovered a problem many in the crypto space knew, but didn't dare talk privately. Didn't dare to talk privately. Many platforms were allowing traders to trade on incredible leverage without having neither the assets nor the liquidity to allow them to do so. This off-the-books liability is actually a common practice in legacy due to rampant naked short selling, failed settlements, and the type of problems you have that are causing the gold market to moon. As a result, these crypto platforms had tight liquidation thresholds that created a waterfall effect, since holes can only be closed by mopping out liquidity that quickly dried out. To put this simple, what happened is the equivalent to entering a casino. Hand over your bank account and gamble on credit from the house. The house knows you can lose up to a certain amount with your bank account. And once that's reached, the gambler is stripped of its savings and assets and kicked off the premises. In all fairness, things got out of control this year. Perhaps this was the big cleansing needed by the space and get back on stable footing. Everybody just bet everything they had, and the house let them. And everyone says, well, that's terrible. We need regulation. Do we? This is what a no Gensler world looks like. Everybody wants to get rid of regulation until they lose money. So the casino let you bet your bank account. People bet their bank account. Now it's gone. Now what? Now what? Is crypto about levered liquidations? Was the story in 2018 when the miners, all the big miners, were able to upgrade their hardware and lower the cost of production, that put all the other miners who couldn't afford the equipment out of business? So all those miners that got put out of business, the little ones, all had to puke out their Bitcoin. They had to market sell everything because they couldn't keep up. They actually went out of business. They couldn't keep up. Their businesses were insolvent immediately, and they had to market sell all their Bitcoin all at once. That was an odd little hardware twist where the big miners put the little miners out of business, and Bitcoin crashed as a result. Was that the history of Bitcoin? Does anybody even know what I'm talking about? No. Nobody remembers any of that. Just like people will be like, yeah, remember that crash that wound up being like the mega low? And the deeper the dip post-crash, the deeper the fear, the sort of like, if the fear gets sewn into the fabric of everyone's thinking, the bigger the ensuing up move. Like, now is the time to like use your imagination. Because if everyone is cleaned out, the slate is clean. And the top 10 altcoins for, November, the VIP group, the platinum group, whatever, all of a sudden become much more intriguing as this becomes the opportunity for value investing. Keeping in mind that guys like Michael Saylor, who went from being a hero, and now everyone's looking at him like, well, you messed up your stock. You're only up 50% on your position. Do you see how everything changed in like a day? First he's a hero. Now he's getting made fun of on Twitter. Think. If you don't know what to do in this environment, think. Okay, let's welcome who's here. Definitely appreciate Simon and all the super chats. Thank you. Right, Knox, Bill is here. Cisco, a member. What's up? Guess who? Chicken Boo, the one woman hedge fund. Gian, what's going on? David, Bull Runner, Gavin Busby, David, DC Precise, Shelly Farmer Allen, welcome. Side Hill Forging, Heidi, Legend, the Great Santini, Crypto Crazy, DGen Joe, a member. AI Creations, No Limits, new names, welcome. Great Filibuster, Trestark, Warmon, a member, welcome. Metal Girl, hello. SPL, welcome to the show. Crypto Hunter, a new member. Buck 52,000, retail isn't even here. Bro, wow, that's the one sentence market update in the elevator. Ding, how's crypto going? Retail's not here yet. Really, what happens when they do get here? Oh, that's my floor. Ding. Should have read the market update right out of the comments. SJ, greetings from DeFi Heave. What's going on? BlackRock did get to buy at 105. Oh, they so did. You haven't heard one word from those characters. Not one word. Their trading desks are up all night, just taking everything. Okay. Somebody talking about DJT, synthetics, the OG of RWA. Dude, that's what I'm saying. All these dormant coins woke up. Synthetics. It's like a dream market. It's my dream market. Huge fan of synthetics. Huge fan of Zcash. Even Dash is going because something's going to happen in Latin America. And the only way you're going to buy anything in that country or from that country potentially is with Dash, which is why it's going up 40%. Again, lack of curiosity is breathtaking. Zapatus, a member. A1, right? KFC. Dude, we're talking about guys needing food aid through KFC. Now, as heartbreaking as that is, because for every 200 gift cards that they handed out, there's probably 2,000 or more people who need it. But that's the type of thing you hear about at a low, right? That, at a low, you have people needing KFC gift cards. It doesn't get any lower than that. It doesn't. Like, guy David Goggins says, everyone walks around thinking that their life is so much harder than everyone else's. I know I'm guilty of that. Oh, my life is so hard. Dude, you lost money. If you got food in your fridge, you're doing better than the guys with the KFC gift cards. Like, seriously. Great Filibuster is here. John Wick, a member. Welcome. Rainy Girl 65, right? Crypto equals buying nothing and liking it. Crypto is fake. Understandable sentiment. You know, that meme is going around with that guy, you know, from Asia saying, you know, crypto is, you don't need the stress. No. You know, arguably, we do need the stress. You know why? Well, if you were in the VIP member area, you'd know why. Because we're building the platform of the future, quote, unquote, Toby Ward. Nobody does Why Are We Here better than Toby Ward, which is why we do the show like we have a comedy routine. I tell her about all the awful things that are going on, huge list. We make fun of that list. I used to take it seriously, but I'm you know, she's held me down. She's helped me down the road of crypto enlightenment. So I don't take that seriously anymore. Then she gives you the speech from 2050. Then we get to work on value investing. So if you're down on this whole thing and this red ink is driving you nuts and you're not sleeping, maybe tune in, right? I mean, I know if you got $49, you're probably at Costco loading up on ramen. I understand that. But in the event that there is any resources, come and visit with us because the time to do value investing is now. Wall Street publishes huge amounts of research at the high. Right? It's like, oh my God, you got to buy this. You know, you got to buy BlackBerry. I remember when BlackBerry came out, this blowout earnings release, like a year before the iPhone came out. I can't believe everybody was like, oh my God, the conference call for the BlackBerry earnings. It was unbelievable. Right. But when everything went down in 2010, nobody talked about Apple. Nobody talked about Netflix. Time to talk about it is now. So 1 hour speech about one thing. Now is the time to talk about it. Regardless of whether or not I get the low, regardless of what they do to the market, right? Some guys are trying to tell me it's winter. No, I don't agree. It's not winter. If anything, it's spring, right? And this could get hot quick. It could be like Texas spring. You have 70 degrees for 5 days before it goes to 95. I'm serious because you got a lot of people out. You haven't heard anything from the big guys yet. Nothing. A1 is here. Mike Yasin. How do you guys feel about alt season and low cap gains? Dude, this is exactly the recipe for alt season. You can't get alt season when everyone is long. You can't. Who's the buyer? Nobody. There's no buyer if everyone is already long and there's no massive liquidity injection. You're headed for a massive liquidity injection because this tariff tantrum is going to absolutely end labor market growth. There was no labor market growth before because of the tariff tantrum in April, and now you're going to have a repeat of that. That's what people don't realize. The tariff tantrum doesn't affect crypto or asset prices, except for the one day that the Algos trade it. It dampens growth expectations, which dampers hiring. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the recipe for a liquidity injection. And if no one is long when a liquidity injection occurs, that would be the definition of alt season, led by actual altcoins like actual altcoins like Ethereum, Solana, XRP, Zcash, Avalanche, Sui, and on down the line. Rahid to the moon. Donnie says AVAX made some gains today. Ariana is here. Great post, Bill. Glad everybody likes market update late night. I know we got a lot of people who, are happy that I had to go touch grass today, right? Sunny Singh says, bro, can Doge get to 75 cents by the end of October? Well, dude, Doge can do that if Doge becomes money. Like if there's a meme coin that's interesting to me, it is Doge. It was Doge and Pepe. Okay. But in my opinion, Zcash has raised the bar on all these meme coins because you got Zcash, you got Dash, you got Bitcoin Cash. These coins are, Zcash, I don't even think is in the top 50 yet, or it's in the bottom half of the top 50. So if you got a meme coin, you got to make sure that meme coin can act as money. Like, for example, antivirus is the John McAfee AI meme coin. Like, McAfee was brought back to life with a chatbot. Antivirus launched as the meme coin, but now can be used as a cryptocurrency to buy privacy-related products, SIM cards, gift cards. You know, there's a mixer, you know, all kinds of stuff. You can do something with that, whether it goes to 30 million market cap or otherwise. Doesn't matter. You can do something with it. Elon has got to come out and make Doge something that, you know, you can buy something with. Like, I'll take Doge for a Tesla. And of course, now that there's a crash, this now would be the perfect time to do it because they've given the market an herbal and the probability of that repeating itself is extremely low. It's extremely low. You don't think these guys know about value investing? Come on. So whatever coin you like, it just better do something, which is why Toby Ward, much to my personal displeasure, has been hating on meme coins for like a year and 2 years. She was hating on meme coins when people were like, you know, their hair was on fire for meme coins. She's like, I hate it. I'm sorry. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. And guess what? She's probably going to be right. Could be right because like the tech and money part of crypto and all these Bitcoin forks could just fly along with the layer ones. I mean, is this complicated? I mean, yes, you know, finding out what she thinks of the market is important. Like, you'll know when it's go time in this market when she says, let's get on Banter Bubbles and picks 30 coins. How are you going to know that? Well, you're going to have to be on the screen. She makes that determination on the fly because we pick coins live on the air. So we would love, as she would say, to have you join us. Because when that day comes, like I said, oh, I wish I bought Bitcoin in 2013. Okay, bro, well, here it is. The tech part of crypto, the AI part of crypto, just wrecked. Sitting there like it's never going up again. That's completely wrong. We have international health coach is here. Trisha from Twitter. Welcome. Justin Casey, I appreciate the love. Thank you. Rainy Girl 165. Thousands of years of gold is the best. You know, you're getting somewhere as a show when either you get just a little bit of flack, and actually welcome people who want to debate. Here's what I've said all along about gold. This whole BS debate about which is better, gold or crypto, is stupid. Like, for example, when Bitcoin was at 100 and everybody was trying to tell the U.S. government at, I don't know, gold's at 2,500, that they should sell all their gold and buy Bitcoin, I said, absolutely do not do that. No way. Because they both do similar things. Gold is a central bank reserve asset. Gold, by moving the way it is telling you in a very loud way that there is a problem with paper money. Now, there's also a problem in those markets for gold and silver because, you know, everybody who says they own gold on paper, you know, I don't know if they can fill all those orders. I don't know if that gold is there. We don't. I mean, that's been the talk in the gold market for 20 years. But the message of gold is the same as the message of crypto. The message of gold is the same now, is the same as the message in Satoshi Nakamoto's Bitcoin white paper. It is all the same trade. Just that with crypto, you can take this, you know, thumb your nose at this system that is not built with you in mind and say, you know what? Gold is the canary in the coal mine, but the new world that gets built, the way the pressure in the system really gets vented is not with destruction, but it is with creation, which is why it kind of like a new age singing bowls playing clairvoyant, you know, artistic super hippie like Toby is in crypto to help you. We are here Anybody on YouTube that's worth his salt is here to help you. Now, I realize you're all traumatized. Bill, I don't need any help. Shut up. Tell me to stay calm. Don't tell me to stay calm when I'm in the middle of a panic attack. And I'm trying to find I'm trying to find an anxiety medication that's this big so I can calm down. Don't tell me to calm down. I won't tell you to calm down. I will tell you to use your imagination. And if you're afraid, congratulations. You got a first-class ticket to a low. Because at a low, there is nothing but fear. Like the low in 2008, like literally, we all thought it was the end. I hoped that when I logged in, that it was still there. Like, are we still here? Is the market still there? Like that kind of fear is the low. And even if this thing goes down 10 to 15% and moves in 10 to 15% increments, you have to develop, ironically, a FOMO-based imagination. Like people are going to think I screwed up the thumbnail. I saw this thing going down. I'm like, you know what? I'm sticking with the FOMO thumbnail because what's really going on in crypto is that we're sowing the seeds for a much bigger move. The gold market is telling you that. Okay. Sonny doesn't think Litecoin is any good. He prefers Doge. My question about Litecoin and Doge is what is going to happen to those currencies if Bitcoin Cash, Zcash, Monero, and even Dash start catching up to them on the upside and they bring privacy coins like AIRO, possibly antivirus, their airdrop matrix, and whatever other somebody was looking at NYM, I think is another privacy coin we had in our GAN model. What happens if that whole complex says, okay, here's where Litecoin and Doge are. Now, all these currencies are going up to that market cap. Litecoin and Doge are useful. At a minimum, from an analytical standpoint, they're useful. Where are they in the market cap chart and what's below it? Is Hedera down there below it? Is Hedera going to be in an ETF? How many layer ones are worth less than, I don't know, 50 billion? You're going to run the rails of the internet on layer ones. Some of them aren't even worth $10 billion. I mean, in NVIDIA, the changes in NVIDIA's overall value overnight is bigger than 10 billion. It's crazy what some of this stuff is worth, right? Bates says all the TA guys ran from YouTube. Love Orange says, I only have 0.01 Bitcoin. Am I doing okay? Yes, you are. You're doing just fine. You know why? Because your head is in the game. No matter how much money you got in crypto, like if you had money in crypto, congratulations. You just went through a 3-credit college course in every crash that's ever occurred because they all have something in common. So if you watched your portfolio go from, I don't know, from 60 to 0 and back, to use a car analogy, congratulations. You just got yourself an education. You just got to experience feelings. You just got to see things. You just lived with it. You just did it. You didn't study it. You lived it. This is an education. Okay. Not all the TA guys left. Crypto Lifer is still rocking it. Yeah, man, that guy can chart anything, anywhere, anytime. Huge amount of respect for him, man. Huge. He is really good. Simon says, do you think Uncle Sugar is going to start cutting in 50 basis point increments and 0.75% emergency cuts? Okay. So I've said this all along that I think Powell has been slow to cut because he wants to be able to cut in case there's a problem. There are problems out there. We just don't know if they're going to manifest sooner or later or at all. There are problems out there. Like if assets ever really went down, you really had a problem, like this is a classic case. Like my guess is Powell, in order to save the institution of the Fed, has to do these 25 basis point cuts. He has to do the smallest cuts he can and talk as dovish as he can. while maintaining his ability to cut rates if he needs to, right? That's if Powell was smart. If Powell gets defiant, he's putting the whole institution of the Fed at risk. So they've done nothing but screw up for 2 years or 3 years or 5 years. So why stop now? I would think Powell is going to acknowledge what's going on in the labor market. Ariana, a member, says, does Zcash have a long-term outlook beyond the bull cycle? Okay, well, we have the Zcash roadmap in Patreon Platinum. Toby weighed in. The roadmap in Patreon Platinum has 3 scenarios. Base case, banana zone, and insane. I gave 3 choices to Toby as to which roadmap we should be watching. And needless to say, I was extremely pleased with what she had to say. Some other details I will tell you. Go look up the high prints when they came out. There's a lot of hype when these Bitcoin forks came out. Zcash, Bitcoin Cash. We're talking about these prices were in the thousands. And the great news about the market going lower for Zcash is that Zcash is overbought. People are going to assume it's a one-hit wonder. You know, you could get a deep retracement in Zcash, particularly if the market goes back up. I mean, Zcash outperformed. So if the market turns around and goes up, Zcash actually might fall. So, and even if Zcash doesn't do what Toby said it could do, which I doubt because the woman's never been wrong about anything ever. Zcash is the beginning of something else, and people's lack of curiosity about what that is breathtaking. Again, these crashes, the bearishness, it's a distraction. So, but to answer this question, if crypto goes into a down phase, can privacy still smoke higher? My answer is yes. Like, let's say you had a problem in equities, because you are going to have a problem in equities at some point, again, discussed in detail in the YouTube member area. Can privacy still moon with the market sitting still or going down? We just got your answer. Zcash has told you the world has changed. That privacy can go up when everything else was going down. Like, was that a one-off? Or was that a paradigm shift? I used to work for this guy. I can't remember his last name. Mike. He's the head trader, the head currency trader at Swiss Bank. Would walk around with his cappuccino, pacing back and forth during the EMS currency crisis going, oh, this is a fundamental shift. The fundamentals of the market has changed. It can go on a whole new trend. Zcash was a fundamental shift towards the privacy narrative, towards transactional, or was what John McAfee used to call cryptocurrency. That's why I love antivirus as a project, right? The tokens will eventually go massively higher over time. But as a project, they're focused on cryptocurrency. So can Monero go up when the market's flat? Yeah. Can Zcash be looked at as private Bitcoin? Yeah. Is Bitcoin massively overowned and all these other coins completely underowned by the institutions, the hedge funds, and the general public? Yeah. Can those things trend while everything else is doing nothing? Well, I don't know. Zcash did nothing and Bitcoin went up and up and up and up and up. Why can't Zcash catch up? You looked at the charts. I mean, if you look at the charts of altcoins versus Bitcoin, before this calamity, I was telling Patreon 1 to 2 more down days, thinking it was going to be like, oh, you know, little stuff, 120 Bitcoin. I haven't even looked at the charts. I mean, I will later. I mean, right now I got to get off because I'm putting everybody to sleep here probably because it's so late. But the fact of the matter is, some of these big altcoins versus Bitcoin are at huge lows. They've been on downtrends. ETH versus Bitcoin, Solana versus Bitcoin, XRP versus Bitcoin. These things have been in huge downtrends because Bitcoin has outperformed everything. Well, what happens when that shifts? You know, ETH underperformed Bitcoin for 2 years. Therefore, ETH, when it turns, could outperform Bitcoin for 2 years. Justin Casey, hey, Bill, when is Toby's annual review? Pretty sure she deserves a raise. Would hate for Goldman to offer her a package and scoop her away. Let me tell you something. There isn't enough money on the planet for Toby Ward and the Eagle King. I would give them, I would give both of them every penny out of my pocket. I would. Now, as far as would they go to work for Goldman? Look, if somebody wants a big enough check, I would want what was best for them. Right? I would. Now, that said, we are here because they are not the future. She is here to help other people because I believe, and ironically, I can't even say his name on the air, but there was a guy who smokes a cigar and walks around with his shirt off overseas, kind of controversial. He said that leverage trading is no good because you don't make anything. You don't help anybody. You're just moving numbers around. If you spot, he didn't say it this way, but he said if you spot invest in a project, you're effectively helping support the token, which supports the project. But if you're leverage trading, you're just trying to move numbers around, and that doesn't work. What works is helping people. And the reason that Toby Ward and the Eagle King deserve a giant chest of gold or a ledger with all the Bitcoin on the planet is because they are here for the express purpose of helping you, and as you're noted, are underpaid. They're underpaid. There isn't enough money to give them. There isn't. Like, it's like I'd have to give them money and something else. I don't know. The championship belt from Micro Influencer of the Year. They deserve the belt. I just do the talking. Without them, there's just me talking. Okay. So Ariana says, converted Bitcoin to Zcash. Am I crazy? Or does someone just believe in privacy? All right. Well, you don't want to have all your eggs in one basket. You still want to have Bitcoin, but I'm not opposed to somebody saying, you know what? I'm going to keep some Bitcoin, but I'm going to move some of my Bitcoin into Bitcoin Cash, Zcash, Monero, right? I'm going to take the philosophy of Bitcoin and spread it out. I'm not against that. Toby thinks Bitcoin's going to $1 million and you're out of your mind if you touch your Bitcoin. I'm just telling you, right? But for me, the catch-up trade is in the baby Bitcoins. Okay, J Shore X Zola says, is the 4-year cycle over? Okay, well, some guys think winter is coming. That's next year. I don't see how you cannot have cryptocurrency because, again, go back to AI, go back to Jordy Visser, go back to the fact that AI is going to disrupt capitalism, and crypto and AI go together. So how can you have AI disrupting everything and everybody in agreement that AI disrupts everything, yet everybody thinks crypto is a 4-year cycle and is going into winter? Artificial intelligence has changed the cycle. The cycle is we're going from human to human plus machine, whether that's Skynet or something more benevolent. It's happening. Crypto is a dual disruptor. Bitcoin is a part of the AI trade. The biggest reason not to get rid of Bitcoin is because it's a part of the AI trade. And I didn't come up with that idea, but it was radical, and now it's consensus, right? It's 50, 30, 20. 50 equities, 30 Bitcoin, 20 other, which can be your Zcash or your Bitcoin Cash or your Bitcoin treasury companies or whatever, right? I mean, I'm looking for a dip in Zcash. Where the dip is, I don't know, right? You know, our roadmaps are good for this because I think base case, banana zone in and insane could serve as, discount. Like the base case is like the cheapest it can get. The banana zone is the equilibrium, and the resistance, or, the temporary tactical ceiling could be on the insane case. But the market going down is the perfect time to stream, and that's your friend. Okay. Bates said, if it's over, F it. I'm ready for whatever. I tried to change my life for the better, and it didn't work out. It's all good. All right, sir. Well, if your phone still works and you're able to type on the screen, it isn't a 4-year cycle. Like everybody in crypto is always telling you that, if you don't have money right now, or, you're missing out, there is going to be a big rally in our future, in my opinion. But crypto is not going anywhere because AI isn't going anywhere. The disruption of capitalism isn't going anywhere. So yeah, it didn't work out this time. And for that, sir, my heart goes out to you, right? We all got messed up. I am on the air in the middle of the night for an hour and a half to keep everybody on track, particularly when that nasty red ink shows up and the flashback starts and you're afraid that it's going to happen again. If it happens again, it happens again. If it doesn't happen again, you have a generational opportunity. Okay, Simon with another super chat, right? 24/7, absolutely. We have somebody with a name that I can't read. Says hodl. Absolutely. Okay, dude. All right, man. Listen, I really appreciate everybody. I appreciate the color. Some of the comments are so funny. I can't read them fast enough. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the market update. Thank you for staying up late. We will see you next time.